This lesson will describe how to enter the sum of the port sampling samples and length by species to check totals. To enter the data, click on the port sampling button on the main menu. Then use the filters to select the record of interest that we wish to update. See the lesson on preparing, adding and entering port sampling data for more information on this. For our example, we'll select by vessel and we'll select the Kimbolton. Apply, select the vessel, the record and edit sampling. At the bottom of the port sampling data form is a box that summarises by species the number sampled, the sum of the lengths and the sum of the weights. These are the data that we will now enter into the corresponding bottom box of our data entry screen. Normally you'd do this when you were entering the full data, but for our example we're doing it separately. We can see for our example that 5 fish were sampled, 4 big-eye tuna and 1 sailfish. Note that the species drop-down list in our total checkbox is currently ordered on the common name, while the data on the data form, the fish are listed by code. So you'll need to be confident with your codes to be able to select the correct fish. So first of all, let's enter our big-eye tuna. And we'll do that with a deliberate error to see what happens. So we'll enter the correct number of fish, which is 4, but for the sum of lengths and the sum of weights, we'll just simply enter 250 into both of those fields to see what happens. So if we tab through, we can see that Toughman has gone away and done some checks. Now the overall status of the record is that it's been checked but found to have errors, and if we look back we can see that the sum of weights was checked and found to have errors, the sum of lengths was checked and found to have errors, and the number was checked and found to be correct. So this tells us that we need to check the weights and lengths that have been correctly summed on the data form, and if they have been on the data form, then there's been a data entry problem with the sampling details up in the top form here. So let's enter our sailfish correctly. So we'll enter sailfish, to spell it correctly, and there's a couple of sailfish there, so that's not the one we want. That's the Indo-Pacific one. So our code we want is SFA. Oh, that is correct. Tab through, enter 1 for the number. The length is 135 and the weight is 75. If we tab through, we can see that the record has been checked and is OK. So in all cases, checked and correct next to each of the individual records there. Okay, so we'll save and exit that record and return to the data list window. And that concludes this lesson.